Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to share with you how to make this beautiful dress that you're seeing here on this picture. So it's actually a 3 layers dress gathers. So if this sounds like what you like to learn, stay on the line while we get started. Before we continue, I'd like to use this opportunity to thank my subscribers. Thank you so much guys for your support, and to you that just came across my channel, please do well to subscribe and turn on the notification button. Thank you so much, and let's get started. So for the half length of this dress, I'm actually going to be using pattern paper to draft. So this is the pattern paper that I'm using. So go ahead and take your shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is actually 15 and a half, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to add half inch for seam allowance. So that's the half inch. From there, I'm going to go ahead now to roll a straight line, and this straight line is going to serve as my starting line. So from there, I'm just going to take my armhole depth, that's round armhole divided by 2. So I'm just going to put that there, and when I was done, I'm going to find out, make sure that I have exactly what I have at the shoulder. I'm going to have it at that point, and I'm also going to connect it with a straight line. So that's it. So from there, I'm going to take my neck width. The neck width I'm actually going to work with is going to be 3 inches. So it's going to be 3 inches for the back and 3 inches for the front. So we actually drafting back and front. So I'll go ahead and slope my shoulder by half an inch, and when I was done, I'm going to just go ahead now to connect that 3 inches width to that shoulder slope, just that way, to give us that shoulder slope, because our shoulders are not equal. So from there, I came down by my neck depth, which is 3 inches for the front and 3 inches for the back. Remember, I said that we're going to draft front and back together. So you know there is no zipper on this dress, so you have to make it in a way that it will pass your neck, so you can actually measure your neck or measure your client's neck. So I actually think this is going to be okay for me, because at the end of the day, I'm still going to use half inch, and that will be all right. So I'm just going to come in here by my bust measurement. So my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'm just going to draw a line just this way, so I can connect my armhole and have that my armhole curve. So from there, I'm going to look for the midpoint of this my armhole. I'm going to look for the midpoint, then I'm going to dot at that particular point. Then I'm going to come in by some inches, like half inch. So after that, I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect, to give me that armhole slope. You can see that small armhole just like that. So I'm also going to curve the armhole for the back. It's not going to be as deep as that of the front. So that is it. So after that, I'm going to come down by my chest line. My chest line is going to be where we are going to do this small basket that you're seeing. Then I'm going to come down by my chest line. My chest point is actually 8 inches, but I'm going to do 8.5 inches. You can see from the top. So from there, I'm also going to come down by my bust point. My bust point is actually 10 inches, so I just mark that 10 inches over there. Remember, chest line and bust point, so that's like 2 inches away from each other. So I'm just going to draw that line from my bust point. So I'm going to take my bust measurement, whatever I have at that place, I'm going to take it, and that's what I'm going to use at that point. So at this my chest line, I still came in by, I gave an ease of half inch. I took my bust measurement, then ease of half inch, then 1 inch for seam allowance. So what I have is extra 1.05 inches. Half inch is for ease, and then 1 inch is for seam allowance. You know there is not going to be break up or something, so it doesn't have to be that tight. Exactly what I have at this my chest line, that's exactly what I'm going to have at my bust point. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead now to connect just that way. So I'm going to go ahead now to put my allowance, what I'm going to use to join the shoulders, the back shoulders and the front shoulders together. So that's the half inch I'm just going to add. Then I'll go ahead and extend here also. Yes, so that's it. So after that, I'm just going to cut it off. So this is basically all. Remember, the half length we are using is actually 8 inches. Half length we are using is 8 inches. So it's 8 inches that we are using. Do not forget that. That 8 inches, is my chest line. That's my chest line. So what I'm going to do also right now, I'm going to put away the front while I've already marked the back pattern. I've marked the bust point. That's where we are going to connect it, where we are going to cut. So I've already just marked it down. So pay attention, guys. So at this point, for us to have that effect that you're seeing at the front, it's not straight. So you can see what I did. I came down by 8.5 inches. That's my chest line. I came down by half inch after my chest line, and I'm just going to connect from the main measurement. I didn't start from the allowance. You can see what I'm doing. So from that main measurement, I'm just going to connect it this way. So you can see at that point, I'm using my bust point at the armhole side, my bust point at the armhole side, and this side I'm using my chest line. That's what's going to make it to have that little bar square that you're seeing going sloping. That's what is going to make it to have like that. You can see that gathers is actually at the top of the breast, and this other side is actually slopey. So I added half inch for seam allowance, what we're going to use to join this and the other layers together. So that's what I did. I just added that some inches extra, so my measurement doesn't short when I'm done. So that is it. So at the back, I just place it this way, and I'm just going to confirm, because the back I'm going to come down by about half inch. You can see it's exactly the same thing, but there is an half inch extra here just at the center of this back. You can see there is an half inch extra, so it doesn't hang. I don't want the back to hang, so that's why I just came down by that half inch so that it does not hang. Remember, we have added an allowance already. We have allowance for the joining of the down, and we also have allowance for the joining of the up, that's the shoulders. So I've gone ahead to, this is the fabric I'm actually going to use. I've gone ahead to cut it on my fabric. This is the back and this is the front, and I also label it so it doesn't mix up, although the back is going to be longer than the front, so that's going to be as a guideline also for me not to mix them up. You can see how it is not really straight. You can see at the middle, you can see there is a little curve. This is what is going to make it look that way when you're done sewing it. And remember, this dress is not actually equal at the side. If you look at the down, they are not equal. They're not equal. So but if you want yours to be equal, that means you're going to also maybe trim it or something. So right now I'm going to go ahead now to join the shoulders with the half inch that we added. So when I was done, I'm just going, before I join the shoulders, I'm just going to cut this out, because I don't want it to be standing, so I'm going to cut it out. But make sure before you cut it out that you've added your allowance. Then I'm going to stitch it back. Just make sure you add allowance. I'm going to stitch it back. It's actually optional, so you may not cut it. It's not necessary. So right now I'm going to go ahead to measure the round neck of this my dress. So after I was done, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the bias that I'm going to use in turning the neck, in piping the neck. So I don't want to use normal bias, because this is what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to cut this long, like I've already measured it, so I'm going to cut it. And notice how I place it. I did not place it straight to cut. It's actually in a bias form, so it's soft. You get me? Yes. So that's it. So after that, I'm going to just go ahead now to pipe it. So I'm going to stitch this way. I'll stitch it straight. This strap that I'm actually doing is actually like 1 inch, 1 inch. So it depends on what you want. When I was done stitching, I'm just going to go ahead and notch round. So after I was done notching round, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fold it first and then fold it again the second time. You can see, then I'm going to stop stitch on top of it. You can do this going backward, you can do it coming front, whichever one. This is how it came out after I was done, or you can use your bias if you choose. This is how it came out. So after that, I'm just going to measure what I have here at the down part. Remember, we are going to be stitching this, we are going to be joining the layers separately. So I'm going to measure what we have here, and whatever I have here, I'm going to cut times 2 because it's for the front and the back. So let's go ahead now. Half length of this dress is actually 8 inches. Half length is 8 inches. So now the first layer of this dress is actually, the first layer of this dress is actually, I'm going to cut 23. First layer, just pay attention. First layer is going to be 23, and the second layer is going to be 39. Yes, this is going to be like this. This is, so the first one I'm going to cut times 2. The second one I'm going to do times, it will not be up to times 3. Then the second one is going to be 39, and the last one, which is the full length of this dress, is going to be 59. As the third tier is going to be 59. Look at it. So how do you now know how many inches to cut, the length of inches to cut? How do you know? So what I simply did was that I minus 22, I minus 8 from 22, and what I have is 15. Then I minus 23 from 39, what I have is 16. Then I minus 39 from 59, what I have is 20. If you calculate all these 8, 15, calculate everything, you're going to have 59, which is the full length of this dress. At the end of the day, I'm going to cut, the first here is going to be 40 inches, so I'm going to cut times 2. As I'm going to cut 15 by length and then 80 by width. I'll use 40 for the front and 40 for the back. Do you get me? It's going to be times 2. As the first layer, the half length is going to be, my round bust, if I measure it, is going to be that 40. You get, it's going to be that 40. So I just want it to be times 2. Do you understand me? Times 2, which is 80. So of all these, like the first one that is 15, when I'm cutting it, I'm going to cut 16 because of stitching allowance. I'll use half inch to join the front, and I'll use half inch to join the down. That's going to be 16. So I'm just going to cut this 16, and I'm going to cut extra one. What I'm going to have is going to be 80 for both front and back. When I'm done cutting it, I'm going to divide it. Do you understand me? So now that this is 16, I'm going to cut 17. So this is what I have. This is what I have. I have 80. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, this 80, I'm going to divide it by 2. Just so I'll have equally. So just divide it. I'm going to divide it by 2. You can see how it is. I'm going to divide it by 2 after I've joined and make sure that everything is 80. I'll divide it by 2. That's 40 40. Then when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead now to gather it. I'll gather it separately because we are going to join them also separately. We are going to join them down here, and we're going to join also at the back. So this is when I was done. This is the gathers I was able to get. This is the gathers. I use 40 to gather, so it's going to be 20 when I'm done. When I'm done with the gathers, I'm going to have 20, which is going to accommodate that first part. So for me to join this together, I'm going to go ahead and notch the front pattern. I'm going to go ahead and notch the midpoint. sorry, beg your pardon. I'm going to go ahead and notch the midpoint, and from there I'm going to place it this way. I'll stitch from the right side to the right side, then I also stitch from the midpoint to that other side. You can see. So I'll repeat, this is the front, I'll repeat this at the back. Then while I'm doing it, I'm going to leave about 1 inch for seam allowance at the sides. So that means the gathers will not get there. Guys, look at it here. When I was done, I've joined the front and I've joined the back for the first tier. You can see how it is. So right now I'm going to cut the second tier. The second tier, what I'm going to use for the second tier is going to be 120. Because I'm going to use 60 inches for the front and I'm going to use 60 inches for the back, and that is going to be 140. Do you get me? The front I actually use 40, and the second one I want to use 60. That's 60. I'm going to use 60 by width and 17 by length. Remember it was 16, so I added 1 inch extra. That's going to give me 17. So after I was done, I'm going to also gather it, and I'm going to notch the midpoint while I'm going to bring out. Remember that the one that the first layer is 40 inches. So it's 40 inches. So, and what I have here is 60. So that means I have 3 extra that I'm getting, 20 extra that is going to be gathered. So I'll just go ahead now and bring out this other side. This is this first layer, so I've already gone ahead to notch. So I'll place this other gathers on this. I'll place it here on the first layer of this dress, and I'm going to go ahead now to go to the machine and I'll stitch it that way. Just as you can see, I'll stitch it that way. So this is it. When I was done stitching, I stitch for front and back separately. Guys, look at how it is. The camera is not really showing very well, so this is it. So guys, actually this is the only fabric, this is the fabric I had left over, and I just wanted to recreate this style for you guys. That's why I had to use this. But you can get something that you can get something else, like you can get exactly what you have on the picture if you can get. So guys, if you've watched this video to this point, I want to please beg you to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification button. Thank you guys. We are done with the second tier, so now let's head to the third tier. So I'm actually using a black fabric. I told you guys this fabric, I was supposed to use it to make a short gown for myself, but because I wanted to recreate this style, I just had to buy an extra 2 yards. This particular fabric I'm using is actually 2, and I have the black one alone is just 2 yards. So it's just like the rest of the layers. We are going to also gather it, which I've done already. I've done it here. So what I actually use for this one is actually 20 inches plus 1.05 inches. That's 21 and a half. So I've gathered it. So the width I'm actually using for this last one is actually 86, because that's all I have, 86. So that's like 26 extra. Remember the second was 60 and this is 86. This 86 you're going to have it front and back, front and back. So I'm going to also place it this way. The gathers are not going to be that much because the difference is not that much, you get. So when I was done, I'll just keep it aside while I work on the sleeve. This is the sleeve. I've already gone ahead to draft my sleeve, and I'm using the full length of this sleeve is actually 22. So I'm going to use 20 inches for the upper part, then I'll use 2 inches for the cuff. So that's going to give me that complete 22. So you can see what I'm doing right now. So I'm just going to mark, you get. So that's the 20. I'm going to mark 20, then I'm going to mark about 21 because of seam allowance, you get. I'm going to use half inch to join to the curve, then I'm going to use half inch to join the sleeve to the bodice. So what I'm going to do right now, I've just added that extra inches. So what we're going to have is 21. Then also when I'm going to cut the other one, I also add the inches that I'm going to use. So this is like a normal sleeve. Yes, so it's just because there are some gathers at the down part of the cuff. So for you to have that gathers, you see the gathers is not really much and it's just at the down part. So from your armhole, like from your round sleeve, the upper part close to your elbow, just cuff it straight. You can see what I did. I just made it straight. So you can see that small extra. So instead of taking measurement of your cuff, if I take measurement of my cuff, it's going to be very small, so there'll be nothing to gather. So I just come down from that elbow and I went straight. So when we are done, we're just going to gather it small, just like that. So right now, this other fabric that is left, I'm just going to fold it. This is the cuff. We're trying to cut the cuff right now, so I'm going to fold it. The cuff is going to be, the cuff is going to be 2 inches on fold. So just go ahead and measure here. Just measure your round and to see if it's going to pass. You get me? So whatever you have is what you're going to place there. So when I was done, I think I had 9. So that's what I'm going to place over there. So when I'm done gathering this my sleeve, I'm just going to place it on that part. Remember, the cuff is going to be 5 inches. That's half inch is going to be for seam allowance. Do not forget to put your seam allowance. So I'm just going to look for the midpoint of this sleeve and I'm going to go ahead now to attach the sleeve. Attach it from the midpoint to the other end. Then I'll attach this other side to the other end. When I was done, this is what we have, guys. You can see how it is. So you can see from that particular place is actually straight. So I decided to use a black fabric since I use black to complete the down. So I just want to use the black for the cuff, so it will make more sense. So I need to be uniform. So I'm going to go ahead now and gather this particular sleeve opening. So when I was done, I'm just going to place it this way. I've already marked my 9 inches and the midpoint, so I'm just going to go ahead and place it this way. Going to go ahead and place it so you can see what we have is 9. So at the midpoint, I'm just going to go ahead and place it this way. It's going to be the back side facing the right side. You can see the right side of the curve. So when I was done, this is what I have. So right now I'm just going to turn it over and I'm going to stitch it on the right side. You can see I'm going to stitch it on the right side, and this is going to be a curve. This is just an easy way of making a curve. So this is what we have when I was done. Right now, from this curve, I'm just going to place it this way, right, wrong side facing wrong side this way, and I'm going to shape it. I'm going to take my curve measurement, I'm going to take my round sleeve, my armhole, and we added 1 inch extra to this, so we are just going to use 1 inch to shape this dress down. You get me? We are going to use 1 inch for the sides and we are going to shape it. And when I'm done shaping it, I'm going to fold the down and I'm going to wear it for you guys to see how it came out. So this is it. We're just going to go ahead now and shape it with 1 inch straight down, making sure that your seams align. The seams should be aligned. Do you get me? And this is me rocking it beautifully. So guys, let me know in the comment section if you're going to be trying this outfit. Yeah, so this is where we are going to come to the end of the tutorial today. Thank you so much guys for watching. Please do well to subscribe, do well to like this video and share to your friends. Thank you so much and see you in my next one. Bye.